Previously on Gutfeld.
The most important question I have to ask you is, how about my ratings?
Your ratings are fabulous. I just saw you're now the king of late night.
Yes.
I mean, you're beating some very untalented people, to be honest with you, so I'm not so sure how great that is, but they are so bad, and it's about time somebody came in and you're really beating them badly. Great.
I feel kind of guilty about it because I feel like I'm beating up unarmed people.
Well, they're not very talented. You are, so congratulations.
I'm mildly talented. They're just untalented.
Well, and you're very different.
Yes, I am very different.
That is true. Well, hold on. Okay, sure, whatever. Clap away. Well, if that's not Emmy award-winning stuff, I don't know what is. But maybe if I sent contagious people to nursing homes and then grabbed my coworkers' asses, I'd have a chance. But I won't. But the fun hasn't stopped just yet because it is time for...
And now, the meeting of the minds, part 3.
Yes. We are now into part 3 of the greatest presidential interview in the history of presidential interviews. That's not funny. Warning, this interview is so powerful, it may change forever the way you look at the world, and especially me. But before we do that...
Greg's 7 jokes.
I envision, like, Greg Brady playing the organ in that thing, you know, upstairs and when he gets to the attic. But anyway. This afternoon, President Biden unveiled his 6-pronged plan to fight COVID. It was originally called a 6-step plan, but Joe's not good with steps. Biden also prioritized getting kids back into school where they're easier to sniff. Joe Biden is also preparing to sue Texas over the new anti-abortion laws. That's right before heading to Mass to receive communion. You know, because he's Catholic. And they're pro-life. And he wants unborn children to die. You see the connection. Meanwhile, the Taliban is expected to continue their ban on music, which means Afghans can only listen to Maroon 5.
Turn the laugh track on.
In other news, Congressman Adam Schiff urged Facebook to address the spread of COVID-19 vaccine misinformation on social media, and the company sprung into action, instantly deleting the account of Anthony Fauci. Yesterday, a protester threw an egg at gubernatorial candidate Larry Elder. The egging confirmed 2 things we already knew about liberals. 1, they hate black Republicans, and 2, they throw like a girl. I'm told that the deadly egg itself was never recovered, but detectives did find several shell fragments. You don't have to laugh. And that's your 7 jokes. And now, time for part 3 with our 45th president, Donald Trump. Take it away.
I got to ask you about Hunter Biden's new profession. Have you seen any of his paintings?
No, I haven't seen him. I've seen, I guess, some newspaper shots of him.
Could you imagine if that was your
Don
son?
Jr. Don Jr. has decided to go into painting. Well, he's never painted before. He wants $500,000 a shot. And you know what? They don't even go after him.
Yeah. And he paints with a straw, which is a new use for a straw for him.
Yeah. No, it's just, when I heard that one, I said, oh, this one will never. This one, even the fake news media will not allow. He's selling these paintings for a fortune.
Yeah.
If my kids ever did that, they could do good things.
Yes.
I have a son raised $20 million for St. Jude's, and it was under 2 years of investigation, and he got nothing out of it, nothing. 2 years of investigation, he raised $20 million. I got the most beautiful letter from the head of St. Jude's that this young man, I won't even say which one of my kids, because why should I?
It'd be great if Don Jr. or Eric started selling sketches and giving the money to, like, drug addiction programs. You know, just like some really primitive sketches before Hunter ever sells a painting.
Well, and this was during, you know, if you go during the presidency to do this, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
But I think the paintings are the least of it.
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned paint, that's the least of it.
Well, there's the gun violations and well, there's a load of other things, too.
You know what? We had a much softer Justice Department, and let's say that they didn't like doing that. And I understand that, too. I don't want to see a family in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's got some difficulties, which are very serious difficulties in terms of what happened to him with abuse, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll tell you what, you can't do it to Republicans. And I say to some of the Republicans, especially the rhinos, because we have some very stupid Republicans also. Yeah. I say, don't you sometimes have to fight fire with fire?
What are your plans for 2024?
So I love our country. I think you'll be very happy. I would say this 2-3 years ago, you might not have been that happy, but now I think you'd be very happy. I think especially when you see what's happening, you'll be happy. No, I'll make a decision in the not too distant future, but I love our country, and I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. And if you look at the poll numbers, I certainly like that because it's we got one the other day, 98% approval rating in the Republican Party. Reagan had 87. We have a 98% approval rating, and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel appreciated, not like a guy like you that could be critical. In the past, only in the past.
All right, so I have to ask you, do you miss Twitter at all? Do you tweet in your head, like because you're not on there anymore?
Well, you know, a lot of people think Twitter was bad for me. I disagree. I think it was good for me. Twitter's become a very boring place. As I understand, I don't want to be like bragging or anything, but people are saying it's become very boring.
No, you made that. You made the site.
You know, when I went onto Twitter like 12 years ago, Twitter was a failed operation. And it became successful, and a lot of people said I had a lot to do with it. When they took me off, I had way over 100 million people. And then if you add Facebook and everything else, it's over 200 million people. That's a lot. You go from 200 million people to nothing overnight. What I do now is I have Save America, and I release things, and I'm getting tremendous play. And we're suing Twitter, Facebook, Google. We're suing them all. A class action suit. Anybody wants to join, please join. Feel free. But we're suing them, and I think it's a great lawsuit. These people are sick. You know, Zuckerberg used to come, you know, the lock boxes, which I call the unlock boxes, because they unlock. So the unlock boxes all over the place. But he used to come to the White House to kiss my ass. And I'd say, oh, that's nice. I have the head of Facebook coming with his lovely wife. And they'd come and they'd have dinner with me in the White House. And then you see what they do about me and about Republicans, and it's just sort of crazy. But that's the way the world works.
When you are watching how the media treats Joe Biden, this is such an obvious question, but it's worth bringing up. There's always a game that we play on the 5. It's like, imagine if it's Trump. If you look at the certain things that, like Joe Biden leaving behind Afghan translators. If it were you, you would be called a racist, correct? Because they are.
And they'd be impeaching me.
They would be impeaching you.
For many, many different
And now you have this phone call, right? This phone call that he made to the Afghan president,
that was not a good
asking
call.
him to lie.
Yeah.
Right. So that is not a perfect phone call.
No, that is not. My call was a perfect call.
So how does the psychology of this work? How do they square that in their head, knowing what they did before? And I'm talking about the media.
You know, my call, when I heard there was we sent it to the Justice Department.
Yeah.
These guys, I didn't know who they were. They were a certain division. And they called back and they said, we've read this transcript 3 or 4 times. What exactly are you looking for? You know, these are guys that are looking at drug deals and all sorts of bad stuff. They're going, what is it you are looking for? That they couldn't figure it out. It was a perfect call. When you watch this call, this was not a good call.
No.
This was not a good call.
No, he was asking him to lie in order to make it look better. Maybe to make himself look better or politically whatever. But it was like...
But I've been calling Ghani a crook for a long time.
And he left with how much money?
He walked away with $200 million.
Yeah.
In fact, he couldn't get it all into the helicopter. They left a lot of it on the runway. Do you think some people at the airport were happy?
Kills me. It just kills me.
And you don't even hear that story. You don't even hear that story.
No, you don't.
And you don't hear that much about Afghanistan anymore. You know, I watch the evening news, and they talk about everything they can, but they don't like to talk about Afghanistan.
All right, that was powerful. But you know what we're going to do now? We've got to turn to an immediate post-interview with the interviewer.
Gene Nelson Reports with Gene Nelson.
Well, Greg, let me just say, I thought last night's interview was the best thing I had ever seen until I saw tonight's interview. Hands down, the best thing I've ever witnessed.
You know, I have to agree with you, and I did the interview, but you'll be surprised to learn, Steve, that there will be a part 4 later in this show, and then tomorrow a part 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I mean, it's Gene, once again. You were on my show yesterday. Gene Nelson Reports.
Steve, do you work out?
Well, a little bit. You know, I like to bench.
How much do you bench?
About 250, Do you lift weights?
Well, I work out, but I don't use weights. I use the body weight of my workout partner. I have him straddle me on my back, and then I do squat thrusts. You wanna go work out?
Oh, I don't have my workout clothes.
You won't need any.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. This former place kicker is up, and he's good. Fox News contributor and former GOP Congressman Jason Tabitz. This ex-public defender has taken more prison calls than Kat. Former White House National Security Council aide Kash Patel. She likes her men tall, dark, and on life support. Fox News contributor Kat Tibbs. And even his inner child is bigger than most people. My massive sidekick and the NWA's World Television Champion, Tyrus. All right, so tonight we saw Joe Biden talking. Did this presser on all these new COVID requirements. It was pretty strange, pretty weird. Broke some really scary ground. And Tyrus, you made a very good point, and I want to elaborate. When you compare Joe Biden to Trump in the world of vaccines, and you saw the interview last night when he was talking about persuading my wife to get the vaccine, there's a noticeable contrast between who can persuade and who can't.
Well, it wasn't even that. What he did is he talked as somebody who is a parent, is a father, and a leader, and how important it was, and he put some facts behind it. But it was a very, I guess, un-Trump-like response, because we're always used to the narrative where he doesn't care about anyone, he's very selfish. But he was giving you good reasons, and at the same time, he was also respecting your wife's decision not to do it.
Right.
He's, and then from the other side of it, the side that's supposed to be that way, he was basically threatening us.
Right, Biden.
By telling somebody, we're losing our patience with you.
Yeah.
That's his frustration. You hired your administration. You're not getting rid of anyone. And the worst part, the reason why that didn't get a lot of attention was because mainstream media's whole narrative is that it's the Trumpers that don't get vaccinated, and that those are the ones that are hurting the country. The leader of the Trumpers is not only vaccinated, he's promoting to get vaccinated, and he's doing it in a way to where you're comfortable with it. He didn't insult your wife. He didn't say, if I was you, I'd divorce her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what, so we're seeing the size of what was supposed to be. You put those two interviews together, run them side by side, and you look at yourself, who's the bully, and who the American people are going to listen to. And it's President Trump.
Jason, when I saw Biden today, and I'm going like, he's going to reelect Trump if Trump wins and decides to run.
You're exactly right. I mean, he was angry, he was upset, he was trying to blame everybody else, and then he gives this exception out to the postal workers. Everybody who's in federal government has to do it, except the postal workers. If you really think about it, who are the people within the federal government that you interact with most?
Yeah.
It's the postal workers.
Right.
They come to your house every day, for goodness sake. You go to the counter to buy stamps and mail things, but they get a pass. It just makes no sense. Donald Trump, I think, he created the vaccine, and it was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden that were saying, oh, I wouldn't do it if he was involved.
Right. They were, I mean, using their criteria or his criteria, Biden and Kamala Harris were a threat to our public safety.
Yeah.
They were a threat to our public safety by saying don't use the vaccines, because Biden made it very clear that the people not vaccinated, the 80 million of which he won't delineate and say who they are a threat to public safety. He said that. He said, public. Cash, you worked in the Trump administration. Do you think he's going to run again?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's going to run again.
Yeah.
That's just me and my thoughts.
Yeah. How do you think it's going to go? This is going to be the craziest thing ever, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I was talking to Tyrus about it before. Does Biden stay for a full year? Does Kamala try to come in? It's such a political disaster that they've created because they violated, as you guys were saying, every law they put against Trump, they are themselves violating. COVID, Afghanistan, the border, what have you. So I don't know that President Trump needs to do anything. If he does decide to run again in 2024. He just needs to let them keep ruining the country, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And they'll elect him and put him back in office.
Yeah. Kat, there's last night after the interview, a left-wing blog spread disinformation saying that we added a laugh track to the interview, when in fact it was our audience that was laughing. They have not taken it down. MSN.com ran it. People are running it. Shouldn't they take that down now that they know that they were wrong?
They should, but it's also, isn't it kind of the greatest compliment ever?
Yes, that's
like, we're
true.
so funny that people think we can't possibly be that funny, but we are. And I think it also shows just how in a bubble that they are, that they thought there's no, because remember when the show first started and they were starting rumors that it was canceled after 3 days?
Yes.
And now we're beating everybody else. It's like they'll never learn that if they don't get outside their bubble, they're not going to have any access to everyone else out there, which is more than like 5 people.
All right, I got to ask you, what were your feelings watching Biden as a libertarian today?
I mean, I'm obviously pissed off, but I'm pissed off most of the time I hear him talk about it. I'm like, who does he think he is? Like, if you don't own your body, you don't live in a free society.
That is true. You cannot apply this logic to any other thing. I mean, it's insane. They're going to compare it to smallpox, but I believe that's a little bit different. Smallpox.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.